Hey everybody, I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawrence here doing a live stream on Facebook, on YouTube, and on the We Are Iowa app. Just to tell you a little bit about our storm threat later today, and also to talk about the extreme heat that we will see today. So we're going to let a few folks join in as we've just shared out the link here on our YouTube pages and our Facebook account. We appreciate you watching with us, and we'll talk about what to expect. So the deal with the severe weather, and actually Hey everybody, I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawrence here doing a live stream on Facebook, on YouTube, and on the All right, there we go. Have too many computers open at one time, don't I? Too many windows open. Don't want to rehear myself. All right, let's talk about these severe weather and talk about the threat that we could see materialize today. And the key word here is could, because there's a thing in the atmosphere called a capping inversion that could ultimately suppress or prevent some of our severe storm development. It doesn't mean we won't see severe weather, but there's also a chance that if this capping inversion is really strong and it holds its own, that we may not get quite as much severe weather. So let me show you the risk areas right now. In orange here, we have a level 3 risk. So we go on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest risk for severe weather, 5 would be the highest. We have a level 3 across northern Iowa. Everybody in orange. In yellow, it's a level 2, so that includes Ames, the north side of the Des Moines Metro, Carroll, and then farther to the south, a level 1 risk, so that's the lower risk. And then where you don't see any colors, that means the risk for severe weather there is low enough that we don't have a risk area outlined. So the farther south we go, the lower the risk will be. The farther north we go, the higher the risk will be. And places in orange would be like Fort Dodge, Webster City, Iowa Falls, Eldora, Hampton, Clarion, and Goldfield, Dalles over to Humboldt, and also Rockwell City. We'll be keeping an eye on that area too. So let me show you what we are expecting in terms of the severe threats and give you kind of a closer view of this. So you still see this is just a zoomed in view, that level 3 risk highlighted in orange, and then the risk dropping the farther south we go. These storms are likely going to develop anytime after 5 p.m. That doesn't mean we won't see anything prior to 5 o'clock, but most of this will be an evening threat. Our biggest threats here will be large hail and damaging wind gusts. So we look for hail that could potentially be 1 inch or larger in size, wind gusts that could reach as high as 60 miles per hour, perhaps higher, maybe as high as 70 miles per hour in the storms that develop. And again, the hail and wind risk will be mostly up to the north. Now, I do have a low risk highlighted for a tornado. That doesn't mean we will see a tornado, but it doesn't mean we won't either. It's certainly a possibility. The parameters, the ingredients for tornado development are significantly lower than what we see for damaging winds or for hail, but still, it's something that we will keep our eyes peeled for. The thing to note with this is that the threat for tornadoes and the threat for hail would be greatest at the early onset of the storms. Immediately when they start, if 1 or 2 of those supercell thunderstorms gets out ahead of a bigger line, that could produce a tornado or some of the large hail. Eventually, the storms will sort of mesh together in a line, and that creates that damaging wind potential and that damaging wind threat. So on our threat forecast that we post every day, by the way, on our We Are Iowa website, we have it labeled as a level 2. I think that generally covers our area pretty well with large hail, damaging winds. Again, it's mainly this evening across northern and eastern Iowa. Tomorrow, we may have a couple of isolated strong storms in southern Iowa in the evening again, but right now I'm not super confident that that will produce any widespread severe weather threats. If we did see those storms tomorrow night, that would be primarily a wind thing, and by Saturday, no severe weather expected. By the way, we had all of that rain this morning, especially west and north of Des Moines. We had some thunderstorms too. Let's time it out with the futurecast. So by noon, it's possible we get another little pocket of thunderstorms that develops across north central Iowa. The models have just now been picking up on that, so I'm not too convinced that this will happen, but if it does, it would likely skirt off to the east and would eventually fizzle out in eastern Iowa. This, pay attention to the time in the top right-hand corner, would be at about 5 p.m. where we would have sunshine and pretty quiet weather around much of the state. And then later tonight, even at 8 o'clock, is when we will start to see a few of those cells developing across northwestern Iowa. So Spencer down through Ida Grove, Sac City, over towards Sioux City. That's where it will initially get started, and then it becomes more of a northern Iowa threat by 10 p.m., moving through Kossuth County, Humboldt County, up towards the Minnesota border. So we'll be watching for that. If you're in Algona, Humboldt, also anywhere near Mason City, we want you to be paying close attention to that. It'll eventually move to the east, so this would be 11:30 tonight, so late tonight, where we could still have those strong storms rolling through maybe Franklin County, Wright County, and still Cerro Gordo County near Clear Lake in Mason City. And eventually by midnight, this will start to shift into northeastern Iowa, and overnight it moves more into the northeastern corner of the state, which would get it out of our area, but would affect areas say like Waterloo, maybe Cedar Falls, back towards Decorah and Waukon, maybe even as far east as Dubuque if these storms hold together. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And then of course I mentioned here that there is a thing called a capping inversion that could prevent some of these storms from developing. So a cap is basically where we have temperatures that are warming with height. So typically when we go up in the atmosphere, the temperature gets colder, but there can be a layer somewhere in the mid-levels of the atmosphere that actually warms with height. We get one on a day like today where it's really toasty outside. So typically thunderstorms grow and they quickly can produce big puffy cumulonimbus clouds on days like today. But when we have the capping inversion in place, that little layer where temperatures go up with height, it sort of suppresses storm development because those storms sort of hit that capping inversion. It's like a lid and it caps the atmosphere. Doesn't allow those storms to grow. Eventually, if the storms are strong enough, let's say we have something come along like a front that can give them a little boost, a little momentum, that can help those storms actually break through the cap, which is what we expect today. So there's a cold front that'll be swinging into northern Iowa. That will try to allow those storms to break through the cap. If the cap holds strong and doesn't allow those storms to break through, then that would actually lower our severe weather threat a little bit, which is a good thing. We need rain, but we don't necessarily want severe weather. On the other hand, if they do break through the cap and the capping inversion weakens, especially in northern Iowa, which is where we think it probably will, then those storms will have the potential to grow. So watch this here. This is a model that shows the capping inversion. The darker blues represent where that capping inversion will be strongest, and we really will see that strengthen across central and southern Iowa late in the evening. So early evening, it breaks apart over northern Iowa. Where those blues go away, that's where the capping inversion likely goes away. So that is why that zone will be most likely for thunderstorm development. But by 10 o'clock tonight, aside from north central Iowa, there's a lot of dark blue on the map. That will be that capping inversion. We call this SIN, or convective inhibition, and that will probably suppress that storm development, which is why central and southern Iowa don't have as great of a risk for severe weather. I know some of you have been commenting about the on Facebook, and I promise I'm going to check those out here in just a minute. Once we roll through everything, we will talk about those, and I do need to monitor my time because before we know it, it'll be time for Local 5 News Midday. Let's talk about some of the rain totals we got this morning. Close to an inch of rain in Rockwell City. These are radar estimates, so the radar takes a peek at all of the rain that fell and sort of guesses, tries to get its best estimate of how much rain fell. So these may not be exact numbers, but they give us a good idea. This estimates that Stuart, Iowa had over 2 inches of rain, that Greenfield and Adair got close to 1.5 inches, that we had nearly 1 inch in Exira, nearly a 1/2 inch in Guthrie Center, and about 1.5 inches in Redfield. This is an area that has been incredibly dry, needs the rain, and that's a good thing. We got the latest drought update today, and it has only become worse news for us as that severe drought has now expanded to include about 40% of the state. On Doppler radar, at this point, most of the activity from this morning has started to come to an end. We still have a couple of downpours and light showers across southern Iowa, but those are quickly pushing out of the state. So the sun is coming back out, the clouds are going away, and it's heating us up fast. In Des Moines, it's already 83 degrees. Up in Fort Dodge, it's already 88. It's 86 for Atlantic, Carroll, and Iowa Falls. Areas to the south are still hovering in the 70s. But once those clouds move out, the rain moves out, the temperatures can climb very fast. It's pretty humid on the west side of the area. Dew points are in the low 70s in Carroll and Creston. The rest of us still see dew points in the 60s, which is muggy, but it's not quite as humid as areas to the west are seeing. With the heat coming in, we also have the heat advisory around the state. That extends all the way up to essentially Highway 18 and goes down to the south. We not only will have the really hot temperatures, but with that increasing humidity, we will have heat index values that could get into the low 100s this afternoon. It's our first heat advisory of the year, so please take care of yourself. If you've got to be outside for a long period of time, if you work outside, if you've got the kids or the dogs or the pets with you, just be careful. Watch the dog paws outside because that cement, the asphalt, can get really hot very quickly. I do think the western part of our area will have a pretty easy chance at seeing some triple digits. It'll be pretty close in Carroll, Atlantic, Creston, Lamoni, and Perry. In Des Moines, I still think we will come up shy of that triple digit century mark. I'm not saying it won't happen. We have not had 100 degrees in Des Moines, by the way, an official high of 100 since July of 2017, so it's been close to 4 years. I think in Des Moines we'll be at about 99, upper 90s in Iowa Falls, Marshalltown, Newton, Oskaloosa, all the way down to Ottumwa, and there will be some records in jeopardy today. Our record high in Des Moines is 94. The forecast high is 99, so it seems like a pretty simple record to break. In Fort Dodge we get to 99, we get to 100 in Carroll, 97 in Ottumwa today, and 100 in Creston. So it's pretty easy to get that hot out there with the sunshine and with a few clouds, so we expect it to be a really toasty afternoon. I do want to check out some of the Facebook comments or your questions, and I'll try to roll through those really quick. And if I'm answering these and you're not watching, I apologize. Let's see. James and Colette said, does anyone know the rain total for Pleasant Hill in the last 24 hours? I don't have an official total for Pleasant Hill, but I would assume it's only about 1/10 of an inch or less, maybe 2/10 of an inch, but it hasn't been a whole lot on that side. Barbara said, listening in about what's happening at home all the way from a cool Canada. We will get some of that cooler Canadian air here in Iowa, by the way, by Monday and Tuesday. Marty says, send rain to Utah. My friend, I wish we could. I would do that if I absolutely could, I promise. Because it's been so dry in Utah. So that's really what we have today. It's a lot of heat. If you are in Des Moines or areas to the south, the rain chance really for the rest of the day is pretty limited. I do think we will see more opportunities for rain coming in as we go through the day. Tomorrow it'll be scattered in nature and again on Sunday. So this is really what we have left in terms of rain. Just the southern tier of counties near the Missouri border from Lamoni and over towards Blockton, Clarinda, Bedford, and a couple of lingering showers there near Albia, Sheraton, and down to Centerville. But the rain chances are lowering. This looks like thunderstorm activity, but that's ground clutter that the radar is picking up. It's been doing a lot of that this morning. And again, because those clouds are pushing out, the rain is pushing south. It's heating up already. I was talking to a couple of folks here in the newsroom, and they said, with the rain, it was cool this morning. Will it really get that hot? Well, at about 9 a.m. this morning, it was around 72. At the 10 a.m. update, it was the 10 a.m. update, we got up to 83. So that just shows you how quickly it can warm. By the 11 a.m. update, I wouldn't be surprised if we're already in the upper 80s. And as long as the humidity stays a little bit more in check, it allows those temperatures to climb a little bit more, and of course the humidity is still high out to the west. The one thing I do want to leave you with before I wrap up this live stream is of course the last minute details about the threat for severe weather in northern Iowa today. Keep in mind that there is that chance that the capping inversion sort of prevents the storm development, sort of suppresses those storms, acts like a lid on the atmosphere, and then storms may not develop. So this is more of a conditional threat where if it happens, if those storms get going, then it could become severe pretty quickly. But if they don't develop, then our risk for severe weather will be considerably lower. So we will watch for hail and wind in northern and eastern Iowa, mainly this evening after 5 p.m. We might have an isolated spin-up tornado, but the risk for that is lower. And again, we will be watching for that to develop. There could be a little cell that skirts north central Iowa around lunchtime, early afternoon. I'm not totally buying that one just yet. And then we will start to see some stuff developing. It could be later this evening when those storms finally break through that capping inversion. And by about 10 o'clock, they're moving across northern Iowa up through Kossuth County, Humboldt County, over towards Wright County. So if you are on the northern fringe of our area, you need to be monitoring this. And eventually by 11:30 midnight, it'll be moving east, so over Mason City. So it could be a bit of a late night across northern Iowa where we have the storms. Keep in mind, you want to have a way to get watches and warnings. The best piece of advice I have for you, and I'm not just saying this because I work here, the We Are Iowa app is a fantastic tool. You can plug it in your zip code so you can get alerts for your area. Sometimes people say, well, I didn't know there was a severe thunderstorm warning. That's how you can be informed. If the National Weather Service issues a severe thunderstorm warning and you have it set to get customized alerts in your area, then you'll get it. Just like that. It'll be pretty quick. Same thing if a tornado warning were issued. I hope we don't have any tornado warnings, but if we do, you'll be prepared and you'll know what to do. So download that app. It is totally free. It's in the App Store. It's in the Google Play Store. You can just put it on your phone. You can sign up for weather notifications and be in the know when storms hit. And that's a really good thing to have as we go late into the night. Sometimes people say, well, we didn't have a lot of storms, so I'm going to bed. But because this could, in some cases, be an overnight threat, I'd like for you to be prepared. Let's see. Is Des Moines done with storms today? Most likely, yes. We may have a little bit late tonight if it comes through, if it pushes a little bit farther south, but most likely, yes. And Georgia said, don't make me get out there and do a rain dance. Not a pretty sight. I feel you. I did a rain dance outside once and it was really goofy looking, but it actually, this was like last summer, it actually worked. We got rain like 3 hours after I did the rain dance. So maybe I'll go out there and do one again. We will see. There is still a chance of rain tomorrow and again a chance on Sunday, so Father's Day. And hopefully we get more rain there. At this point, I'm going to wrap up our live stream, and I appreciate you watching. I hope you stay safe, stay cool. Be sure you're drinking tons of water today. You want to stay hydrated. Avoid the alcohol and the soda today if you can. And really, I know Powerade and Gatorade are good because of the electrolytes, but they're really sugary too, so try to limit how much you have of those and stick with water. And have a great day. We will see you again on Local 5 News Midday live at 11 a.m. And then, of course, Chief Meteorologist Brad Edwards will be keeping you informed later today on the storm. Should anything go super crazy, I will come back to help him, but he will be here to keep you in the know and informed. So thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.